Alright guys, here's part 2 of the video of really understanding who we are and what's going on in the bigger picture of things. In the first video, I talked about how we are all the one infinite and eternal source, and that we are co-creating with what we call God or source, which is the infinite, all-knowing, all-loving part of us that is guiding each of us. We are the I am presence that is experiencing a linear journey within eternity, which is just a construct. It's just a story. It's just a progression of an evolution of why are we doing any of this? Love. We're doing it to remember how loving existence is itself. And this video is going to be important for understanding why this experience we're going through now, as difficult as it has been, as much pain and suffering as we have been through ourselves and as we see in the world. This video will explain how this is truly a love story. It really is. Of Source getting to experience itself for the first time again through the perspective of humanity. So, this universe exists as a paradox. On one hand, because in the eternal now, the present moment, it has always existed. So it is eternal, just like everything else and everyone else. But for the sake of the fact that we are having a linear journey, that we are experiencing time, that we are experiencing stories, we are also at the same time experiencing what it would be like for this universe to begin and end. The ending's way off in the future, don't worry about it. And we're all gonna be okay with it when it's time. Because that's just how it works. This is all very intelligently and intricately designed, this whole experience. And so what we have to understand is that if we were to have a beginning of the universe, let's say roughly 14 billion years ago, it started at the very base level of consciousness. And it was just a massive expanding out from a single point. Light and sound, eventually turning into stars and solar systems and galaxies and planets and all these things. And they just kept evolving over billions of years. At a certain point, Earth was formed. Mother Gaia. Estimated at around 4 billion years ago, linear time. At that point, the planet came together. And what we have to realize is that there are no true inanimate objects or just things. All form is consciousness. Energy is just a way of understanding the form. It's not the law, it's not the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth is source. Formless awareness, dreaming a dream of form. And so all form is consciousness, and consciousness is what's evolving. And so the universe is consciousness evolving. At one point, consciousness is just doing what it does. It's just, there's a particular melody of the universe, and it's a particular symphony in which everything is sort of happening and harmonizing all at the same time. And it's not consciously being chosen so much as it's just part of the natural unfolding of this particular universe. At a certain point, though, consciousness evolves and becomes self-aware. So there is much evolution that happens where consciousness is not aware of itself, simply responding to, instead it is simply responding to what it is naturally moving into next as part of the rhythms of the universe. But when consciousness starts to become self-aware, we have to go through a certain process to wake up in the dream. That is what's happening with humanity. At some point, humanity evolved, right, from a hominid species. Eventually, life started on the planet, right? Let's not forget that. At one point, Mother Gaia birthed life for the first time. It was probably just a single cell organism, and from there, everything came. All life. All these different variations. Plants, fungi, mammals, fish, whatever. Eventually, apes and humanoid hominids split off. And then at a certain point, Homo sapiens sapiens was very much in a similar form that we are. And at the beginning stages of that biological evolution, the consciousness was still very much primal, animalistic, instinctual. It was not self-aware yet. And at a certain point in that animal's evolution, the stirrings of self-awareness began. The earliest stages of awakening, which really just start with basic interpretation of I am me and there is others over there. That's it. Now, this is a very interesting part of the evolution of consciousness. We have not remembered it fully yet. We are still remembering, still trying to understand where it is we came from, so we can understand where we are now, so we can understand where we're going. From what I have remembered, from what I have gathered, the earliest stages are very gentle. They are not just suddenly, oh my God, I'm aware of everything in a moment, in an instant. It's more like something that gradually comes online. Happens a lot more gradually, not so suddenly, not so, oh my God, I'm afraid because now I'm an individual with needs and fears and a story and all these things. Like, it's not like that at first. At first, it's very similar to the way nature and animals just respond to life, just interact and react, and everything's instinct and not really any conscious thinking or self-awareness, just being. That's very much what it was like. At a certain point, there were more advanced beings that came here that started to guide this young evolving species, which is just a story of an animal species evolving in this universe. they came and they started to assist. They started to teach us how to work together with the body's technology, with sound, with vibration, how to come together in harmony and harmonize, how to build the very earliest aspects of civilization and possibly agriculture and things like that. Understanding the elements, understanding how to work with each other, how to work with the world, but again, not a huge conscious mind yet for that species. Not like how we are today. Today we have a strong understanding of time and story, and we're very associated with our past. We're very focused on the future. We do not live as presently as those earlier stages of consciousness awakening to itself, how that was. It's not like it is today, because what we have gone through over the last 12,500 years or so is sort of an initiatory phase. This was a phase where we were, in order for that species to move into full-on co-creatorship, which is what we're moving into, is full-on self-aware, self-realized co-creatorship. We have to go through an evolution of consciousness, which opens us up to time and the universal mind. So in a way, it was sort of the birth of time in our experience. And it became where cycles of life and death became feared, because we weren't sure if we died, if that was the end. And that is very fearful for a species that does not know who they are, who has not fully awakened. But this was a crucial part of the evolution of our consciousness. It is the crucial part of every species that goes through this type of experience in any universe. Any species that evolves through consciousness in this way goes through an initiatory period where you open up to the universal mind. And it is where fear can feel just as real as love. It is, and this synced up naturally, perfectly, with the Earth's natural rhythms and cycles, because the Earth herself cycles through frequencies. And at the lowest frequency that we were just in, where it's the most dense, where it's hard to perceive of our oneness, it's hard to tell whether love and fear are the same. This is a period of time where a species has the opportunity to go through what's known as the choice, according to the raw material and the law of one. And the choice is, are we going to choose love and oneness and truth? Or are we going to choose fear and separation and control? Because there are basically two paths that Earth could have chosen, that humanity could have chosen. They could have chosen a globalized hierarchy that likely would end in apocalypse and revolutions and all these things, and lots of manipulation and abuse and control, and yeah. Or there is the path towards truth. And the path of truth is about understanding that we are all one. That you truly are me in another form. That I really am you in another form. And that what creates harmony is when we understand that there is no lack, there is no competition. The Creator provides everything. everything that you could truly desire and want in your life, everything that could be truly meaningful and fulfilling to you, there is no lack, there is no competition. There is only the truth of infinite abundance and oneness, of unity. But we have to actively choose that in order to embody it. Because here's the difference between what was playing out and what is. What was playing out during this very dense, dark, heavy time for humanity was souls planned lives before they came here, and they lived those lives mostly without knowing who they really were. For the most part. There are exceptions, because it's a story that's playing out. And we had amazing souls incarnate like Jesus, like Buddha. These wonderful souls who were here to teach us and remind us of who we really are, who could see, who had discernment to see through the fears and the distortions and the illusions, and to understand the truth of love and oneness and remember God. And that's why we have been trying to remember God, because God is love. And love isn't just an emotion, it is a choice based in eternal truth of really knowing who you are, really knowing yourself. So humanity evolving from primal consciousness into the early stages of self-awareness, into this initiatory phase where we experience time and the universal mind more fully, and we have these stories, we have these identities, we have these roles. And now what we are moving into is fully self-realized co-creatorship. And what that means is we have to wake up to who we really are, to realize before this body, before this soul, I am source. I am the I am. I am formless. I am whole. I am complete. I am worthy. I am loved unconditionally. I am supported unconditionally. I am protected unconditionally. I have always existed. I will always exist. And now I am living a human life in a dream where I have a dream body. And my dream body is filled with trauma and old things that my ancestors never healed, because we are all one. Even humanity, all of us are all one in every sense of the way of understanding that. We are one. And so what was unhealed in my family line, when I chose to come in and incarnate here, I chose in this life, I was going to heal all of that. That I was going to liberate myself, that I was going to remember myself, that I was going to be here and speak about new earth and awakening and do all these things. That's what my soul was designed to do in this life. But before that, I am the I am, the same as you. And you have your own roles, you have your own stories, but we are here to embody the truth that we are both the I am, the formless awareness, the loving presence, and a soul and a person. But then our creative power, we have to realize, is that any story we have been told or we're telling ourselves that is not based in the eternal truth of who we are, that is our true selves' responsibility to heal and return to truth, return to oneness, return to love. To find out how you are not a victim. To find out how you chose to come here. To find out how can I express my truth? How can I heal what my ancestors did not know how to heal? How can I be free? How can I taste the liberation that my ancestors only dreamed of and embody that and live that in this life? This was always a story that was going to have a happy ending. Because who's really in charge of what's going on and what's happening and what souls are born here and what the story is leading to? The grand playwriter, Source itself, the all, perfect divine love. And so there is this dance of free will, the perception of free will, the experience of free will, the embodiment of more free will, the more that we know ourselves and the more that we operate out of love, out of truth, out of presence, the more that we actually let ourselves be the fullness of who we are, which is more than just this human, which is more than just this soul, which is more than just a story or any particular story. I am the I am. I am the great storyteller. I am the dreamer. I am the one who goes into dreams, forgets who I am, and remembers who I am. Who steps back into my power, my wholeness, my truth, where only love reigns and fear is nowhere to be seen. That is who I am. That is who you are. Even if you can't remember it just yet. I know I struggle to remember it all the freaking time. But it's a process. It's a process. And as long as you stay committed to it, you'll wake up. You'll remember who you're meant to be. And you'll be able to co-create a life that feels truly authentic and alive. Now, if you guys are looking to do deep remembrance and healing work in a really uplifting and safe space that helps you truly remember who you are, and in a way that you feel safe in your body, that you feel safe in your experience, that the wisdom is grounding and truthful and discerned through the highest love and light. I have a 9-week program called Becoming the Dreamer, starting in mid-September. If you're interested, there's a link in the description. Also, I offer one-to-one healing and awakening guidance and dreamer activations. If you have a particular dream or desire or life that you would like to call into being, or if you would like to embody your higher self and your highest timeline. All right. Much love, guys.